welcome again to the summit. Thank you so much for coming today. It's really an honor to be standing in front of so many committed leaders in sustainability throughout our community. I want to recognize the sponsors and volunteers, and of course the Office of Sustainability staff. So Anand, Kathy, Erica, Kristen, Felina, and Rachel, as well as our interns Maddie and Nikki. It's a pleasure to work with you day in and day out. This is hard work. So please everyone give them a round of applause. And I'd be remiss if I didn't acknowledge Janita Warner, the previous chief and all-around sustainability rock star. Last year at this time, Janita was on maternity leave and has since taken a position with the Sewer District as their sustainability manager. So we never really had an opportunity to say proper thank you as a community, so just please join me in doing that right now. Woo! And of course, Mayor Jackson. His commitment to this work is the definition of extraordinary. In fact, I believe we are the only city in this country to have hosted an event like this for 9 years in a row. He understood early on that this work is challenging and it requires sustained commitment over time. So thank you again, Mayor, for your leadership and foresight throughout this entire process. So my goal with this talk, it's not to summarize, what happened this year in sustainability. You and your peers have accomplished way too much in this past year to attempt that. My goal is to present, in microcosm what this summit is about and some key themes moving forward for the initiative. Sustainable Cleveland, first and foremost, is a community of people. That's why 2019 is the year of people. The mayor declared that a few years ago. The summit is an opportunity to renew and engage, connect with old friends, and meet some new ones as well. Working in sustainability, I know it can feel sometimes like 2 steps forward and 1 step back, but it's clear as a whole, we are making significant progress here in Cleveland. We work so hard throughout the year, so we often forget to celebrate what we've done, and part of the summit is really to do that over these next couple days. And above all, the summit is designed to innovate in key opportunity areas that support our mission. So in your workbook, you'll see on page 8 some of these topics, and page 7 some more little background on the summit objectives this year. So we pay great attention to who attends the summit and the sectors participating year-round. This is because we believe that to change an entire community, you have to have that entire community in the room working together. So who's in this ginormous auditorium? We have Clevelanders from all walk of life, including business people, advocates, government officials, retirees, artists. We have neighborhood climate ambassadors and much, much more. And of course, many of us wear many hats throughout. Because this is our 9th summit, we have participants with a wide variety of experience. So many people are brand new to sustainability, while others did this work, before it was called sustainability. Summits thrive on this mix of fresh perspective and really hard-fought expertise through the years. And for just about half of you, this is your first summit, so welcome. We need your new ideas and energy. On the other hand, about 30 of you, I think, have contributed to 7 or all 8 of the previous summits. So if that's you, please rise and be recognized. And if you're thinking about it hard, you should probably just rise. Thank you. So as Ron mentioned, about 40 youth have been selected as the second cohort of our Youth Sustainability Leadership Program. They will be here all day tomorrow, so thank you to CMSD, the Neighborhood Leadership Institute, and Earth Day Coalition for your partnership in this important work. These student leaders will be developing, really over the course of a school year, a sustainability project in their neighborhood or in their school. And for most, the summit is kind of a first step in developing some ideas around what that project might be. So I'm really curious to see what they come up with over these next 2 days. So these values you see here, these have really driven the initiative from the start. We believe that it's important to be dynamic and cumulative, building from year to year. We believe in building from strengths, not harping on perceived deficits. We're inclusive and welcoming, and we are bold while also seeking achievable solutions in this work. And above all, Sustainable Cleveland is about taking action. It is meant to serve as a resource that helps Clevelanders make smart, sustainable decisions, whether that's in your home, whether that's in your workplace, or in the larger community. The resource table in the back has some really handy pamphlets on what action looks like in each of these spheres. And, really from the start, the heart of Sustainable Cleveland has been its working groups. They often form at summits to achieve specific outcomes. So almost 70-ish of you are in active working groups. In addition, the summit sparks many initiatives in businesses, homes, and communities across Cleveland. So by the end of tomorrow, we hope to add value to those existing working groups, and who knows, we may actually create some new ones as well. So many working groups, we're calling them graduates here, have morphed over time into separate nonprofit and for-profit organizations. And more info on pages 13 to 15 of your guide on all of those. Another cornerstone of Sustainable Cleveland is measurement. Can't manage what you're not measuring. So our dashboard of 28 different indicators help inform strategy, highlight progress, and help communicate what's important to us, really, as a larger community. The idea is for everyone to be able to find at least one indicator that resonates with them and that they feel they can help move the ball forward on. The indicators are organized into the business environment, the social environment, the built environment, as well as the natural environment. And Sustainable Cleveland is organized by celebration years. 2017, as the mayor mentioned, is the year of vibrant green space, and next year, 2018, is the year of vital neighborhoods. Which we're really excited about. How do you take all these sustainability topics, from energy efficiency to food, to solar, right, to waste, and down the line, and integrate that at the neighborhood level. So it's going to be a really exciting year, and looking to see what comes out of this summit to help us move in that direction. We work on all these topics all the time, but this annual focus of celebration topics kind of gives us an opportunity for additional collaboration throughout that year. So that is Sustainable Cleveland and the summit, really, in a nutshell. For the rest of my talk, I want to delve into really 3 overarching themes that frame the summit this year. So number 1, celebrating vibrant and accessible green space. Number 2, taking equitable climate action. And number 3, accelerating progress to 2019 and beyond, as the mayor teed up. So first, let's explore our 2017 celebration topic, vibrant green space. This starts actually on page 19 of your workbook. So the celebration committee for this included representation from about 40 organizations. And one of the first things we did was attempt to define vibrant green space. So you have it there, accessible and active public space that benefits all and connects people to place, nature, and one another. So in other words, in an urban environment like the one we have, it's really not enough just to be green. That space must also be activated with people building community. So events, there were so many great events this year focused on vibrant green space. And just to give a sense of the scope, please indulge me here. I'm going to list events that really took place in just the last 2 weeks. Here in Cleveland, Northeast Ohio. So there was a tour of Canal Basin Park, narrated by an actor playing Carl Stokes. There was the 4th Ciclavia of the summer, in a celebration of open and green streets. The Sewer District had their open house, where nearly 3,000 people, 3,000 gathered on their Saturday to learn about sewers. I think that's really a testament to Sewer District marketing, as well as the people of Northeast Ohio. The tree steward trainings for residents, led by Western Reserve Land Conservancy, as well as Holden. The City Club had a great event at the beautiful Edgewater Beach House on diversifying America's parks. There was a Cleveland Pollinator and Native Plant Symposium. The Vital Neighborhoods Working Group held their 6th annual potluck in the park. The county held another training on Greenprint, a land use tool. And just this morning, the Metro Parks hosted 2 water taxi tours of the Cuyahoga, and the sewer district did a public square walk and talk. So that's just the last 2 weeks, and I'm sure I'm missing something, just to give you a sense of just all the activity that's going around this topic in Northeast Ohio. So green space projects, they really, I guess, continued to sprout throughout the year. The city installed 2 green roofs at Cleveland Hopkins Airport. Next time you're there, please check those out. Fleet Avenue was completed this year, along with a number of other projects that meet our Complete and Green Streets ordinance. And the city completed an assessment of all 150 plus parks, playgrounds, and green spaces, ranking them really in need of repair. This is similar to something we did for streets, also ranking streets in need of repair. We'll be investing in those parks, thanks to issue 32, really starting with those most in need at about $5 million a year going forward. And many other exciting projects, really too many to name, made significant progress this year. Irishtown Bend, of course, you've seen that, and Case Western's new Greenway, just as a couple of great examples. So there's also plenty of partnerships that took hold or strengthened this year. So using an Ohio EPA grant awarded to our office, we've worked with many partners this past year to provide green infrastructure maintenance trainings. I know, not the sexiest topic, but it's crucially important. And just to kind of connect to previous summits, this was a kind of a gap we found early on a few years ago, is we're putting in more of this green infrastructure, but we got to make sure that people are skilled to maintain it. So the result over the last year or two was 21 trainings in 70 communities, and 391 municipal employees have received that training. So again, it's not just enough to build this stuff, we have to be able to maintain it. You really can't talk about green space without talking about trees. Cleveland has about 100,000 less trees than we had half a century ago. These trees represent tens of millions of dollars in value associated with stormwater, air quality and public health, energy costs, property values, and so on. Trees have so much value. To make Cleveland the forest city once again, community-wide partnership is really the only solution. So the Cleveland Tree Plan was approved in 2016, and since then, the Tree Coalition has been working to implement that. So these 30 organizations in the coalition have been using a pretty comprehensive approach that focuses on data, policy, of course, planting trees, but also maintaining them, Arbor Day celebrations and making each subsequent Arbor Day the biggest one ever, and much, much more. So, and also this year, we're excited to be bringing back leaf pickup in some high generation areas in the city. Even more so, those leaves are going to be composted and returned back to the soil, so we're really excited about that. And as of Arbor Day, the mayor announced on behalf of the entire coalition a goal of increasing our tree canopy from 19%, that's where it currently is, to 30% by 2040. And as part of that, I guess, early down payment, we're going to do 50,000 trees in the city by 2020, and really all those partners are going to be working towards that goal. So just another example of partnership is climate smart cities. So the Trust for Public Land has worked with the city, sewer district, and many partners to implement their Climate Smart Cities program. So this tool will help prioritize green infrastructure solutions across many factors, grouped into the categories you see here. So connect, cool, protect, and absorb. So in other words, how best do we connect our green spaces together? How do we prioritize green infrastructure to cool down those neighborhoods that really need it the most? How can we best use green space to protect better against severe weather? And finally, where should we invest to absorb stormwater and really help clean our lake? So we're really excited to be using this tool going forward to inform all of those decisions. And speaking of green infrastructure, we're excited to share that the Sewer District has released the 2018 Green Infrastructure Grants Program, Request for Proposals. So to be considered for that, projects should remove stormwater from the combined sewer, and also ensure long-term maintenance. So to date, NEO-RSD has provided almost $5 million, I believe, across 55 different grants. So these proposals are due October 23rd. There's also, I think, more info in the back on this grant opportunity. All right, so the second major theme I wanted to tee up is updating our climate action plan and how we integrate, especially equity, into all that work. At the heart of climate action in Cleveland is building thriving and healthy neighborhoods throughout the city. But of course, our local work here is impacted by what happens at the national and of course the global scale when we're talking about climate. This year, we watched the US pull out of the Paris Climate Agreement. We are now one of only 2 countries whose federal government has rejected this agreement. So in the face of the climate crisis we are presented with, it has become clear that cities, counties and states, businesses and universities really must lead now more than ever. So in response, our mayor, along with mayors across the country, reaffirmed their commitment to the Paris Agreement. And I will just now read a statement from the climate mayors because I think it aligns pretty well with Cleveland's approach to addressing climate issues. So it says, "We will continue to lead. We are increasing investments in renewable energy and energy efficiency. We will buy and create more demand for electric cars and trucks. We will increase our efforts to cut greenhouse gas emissions, create a clean energy economy, and stand for environmental justice. And if the President wants to break the promises made to our allies enshrined in the historic Paris Agreement, we'll build and strengthen relationships around the world to protect the planet from devastating climate risks." So the city has been steadfast in its commitment to climate action for some time. All the way back in 2006, the mayor signed the U.S. Mayor's Climate Protection Agreement, and a couple years ago, he signed onto the Compact of Mayors. So this map here you can see shows all those cities across the world who have signed on to that compact. 142 U.S. cities have signed this compact, and I'm happy to report today that we are one of the first 10 cities to demonstrate compliance with this compact. We are also one of 5 cities to win, thank you. We're also one of 5 cities to win a Climate Protection Award this year from the U.S. Conference of Mayors. So, this is because we not only established a goal, but we developed a plan to get there and have begun implementation and are also measuring our progress. So, the plan part. So back in 2013, our office convened a 50-member committee to create the Cleveland Climate Action Plan. This plan includes 33 actions that activate the Sustainable Cleveland celebration topics you saw earlier. So these actions were prioritized because they meet the triple bottom line of sustainability. So even if climate change didn't exist, which it clearly does, these actions, we would still implement them because they make sense from that triple bottom line perspective: people, planet, and profit. So here's those 33 actions broken into 6 focus areas. All 33 actions serve to either reduce our emissions or help us become more resilient to the impacts of climate change that we're already facing and are projected to get worse in the future. And of course, many actually do both. So I just want to give one example, and might as well start with action number 1 in the plan. It's really about weatherizing homes. So, weatherizing home reduces emissions because it reduces our energy use. At the same time, weatherization makes our homes more comfortable, and in turn, our residents more resilient to extreme weather. So, extreme heat, extreme cold, etc. And as I mentioned, we are measuring progress. And I will apologize in advance. This is going to get a little wonky, so please indulge me just for one slide, I promise. So comparing 2010 to 2015, we've seen about a 5% decrease in carbon emissions here in Cleveland. So why is that? This is mostly due to beginning to reduce our dependence on coal to power the electric grid, and also less natural gas use in our homes and businesses. We've also seen a slight decrease in transportation emissions, and this is most likely from having more efficient vehicles since 2010. At the same time, total industrial emissions have increased despite actually improvements in efficiency in those industrial operations. And so this overall increase is really from the increased economic activity we've seen since 2010. So now this is really a big deal because we're starting to see evidence of something here in Cleveland that we really need to see across the globe. And that's something that's called decoupling. So since the Industrial Revolution, and really before that, we've seen economic growth and emissions coupled. So in other words, when the economy goes up, emissions go up, and then when the economy goes down, emissions go down. With decoupling, like we're starting to see, economic activity goes up while emissions go down. So the numbers for 2016 look good as well. They're not final yet, but we expect further reductions in emissions while the economy continues to recover. So this really help us keep on track to meet our goal of 80% reduction in greenhouse gas emissions by 2050. Okay, that's it on the detailed numbers, I apologize. So of course there's much work to do, and many of the breakout topics on day 2 are climate actions where we really need to accelerate progress. At the same time, we are in the early stages of updating this plan. So, where we are focused on, at this point, really those cross-cutting issues that affect every action, all 33 of those existing actions. So we're asking questions during this process like, which residents are most vulnerable to external shocks that climate change makes worse? So again, like things like heat waves, extreme cold, floods, et cetera. And how do we best use that knowledge to improve their resiliency? Or how do we prioritize actions in order to increase jobs in the green economy? And as Ron mentioned, how can local corporations and institutions support local climate action? And finally, how do we ensure that everything we do is examined with an equity lens? So this is challenging work, but fortunately we have a Climate Action Advisory Committee currently made up of 60 organizations, and I think even more, lending their expertise to the entire process. And we are all committed to ensuring that the benefits of becoming a sustainable city reach all people, no matter their age, their race, or the neighborhood they live in. So if you serve on that committee, if you don't mind, could you just please rise and be recognized for doing that hard work? Let's see if any Climate Action Advisory Committee. Thank you. So finally, the third overarching theme I want to touch on, and the mayor mentioned, is accelerating progress to 2019, the culmination of this 10-year initiative. We have a lot of accomplishments to hang our hat on. For example, better water quality has improved the health of our fish. You've also may have seen river otters are back in Cuyahoga, in the Cuyahoga River. We saw that this year. At the same time, economic activity and recreation associated with the river and lake has continued to increase. Air quality has improved. Ron mentioned we are on our way to completing the first freshwater offshore wind project in North America, and Cleveland is considered a national leader in moving towards a local food economy. But there's much work to do, and we are really well primed to, I'd say, accelerate that progress over the next 2 years and beyond. So that's what we're here to work on. I will now share a few more detailed examples of areas where we can build off the progress already being made. So first, let's look at cycling. We are on pace to install nearly 70 miles of bike infrastructure in just the last 4 years. Considering our city's size, I believe that's one of the fastest paces in the entire country. The overall goal is to provide cycling amenities in every single Cleveland neighborhood. And as you see, in 2016, we set a record for new bike infrastructure in the city. And this year, we're hoping to break that record. The result is a bike network that's starting to become more connected throughout the city. And like all transformations, this change has required time and commitment from a lot of people, including the cycling community, NOACA, and a number of city departments, planning department, our capital projects department, streets, traffic engineering, and more. Last year our keynote, if you were here, Gil Penalosa, he talked of what's called the 8 to 80 cities approach. So that is, designing streets so they work for everyone, really whether you're an 8-year-old or you're 80. And now over the next year, we have an opportunity to move further in that direction with the creation of a Cuyahoga Greenway plan, as well as an update to the city's bikeway master plan. And building off the Midway work and the Midway plan that was completed this year, we'll look across the city to prioritize which bike lanes should have more of a physical barrier between basically cyclists and cars, improving safety for everyone. So solar, while progress on renewable energy depends in no small part on state policy, which those of you who work in solar can well appreciate, there's still a lot we can do locally on this. So I'm pleased to announce, as of Monday, Cleveland is a certified SolSmart community at the bronze level. This essentially means that we are committed to reducing the cost of going solar on homes and businesses. So for example, in the next couple of weeks, we'll be posting a solar guide that clarifies the process, really for building owners as well as solar installers, on how to go solar, from A to Z, and specifically when the city is involved in that process, how that works, and to really clarify that. We also have nothing in our zoning code that explicitly limits solar, which some communities do have. And the county led a great solar co-op program resulting in about 200 solar leads, so people really interested in putting solar on their roofs, and about 40 of those turned into actual installations. So, how do we really take this work to the next level over the next couple years? And more businesses are publicly sharing their sustainability progress, which indicates they care. Essentially, all business types can report through organizations like the Global Reporting Initiative, the Carbon Disclosure Project, or get certified as a benefits corporation, also known as a B Corp. Other certifications are, I'd say, specific to different sectors. So you have ones like Dine Green. So restaurants can get certified green through this process. And little known, the Cleveland Metropolitan Bar Association has a green certification for law firms. And they have over 30 law firms actually certified through that process. Specific to transportation, businesses can also become certified bicycle-friendly businesses. But there's still a lot of businesses, and I would especially say small businesses, where none of these really are the best fit in terms of getting external recognition, but also tools to support them. So one of the breakouts on day 2 tomorrow will focus on creating a local green business certification or recognition program. So similar to ones that Dayton has and Columbus has something as well. That's really accessible for every business, no matter where they are in their sustainability journey, or if they haven't even started. So who knows, maybe by 2019, we can go from about 80 organizations certified green now to maybe more than 500, and I think that is a reasonable goal. Before I close, let's go back to 2009 and the first summit. So you can see here, it's our first chief, Andrew Watterson. On the left there's the mayor addressing the crowd, not looking a day older. And below him in that snappy gray suit, that's Freddie Collier, our planning director. He's clearly planning something there. And back then, in years since, every year, right, we've seen 2019 as a type of milestone year. And we've been working hard to ensure that we have that great story to tell on the 50th anniversary of the infamous fire. So yes, June 22nd, 2019 is an anniversary, but it's also a deadline. 2019 is also a great reason to throw a party in celebration of Cleveland and how far we've come. And we know how to throw a celebration when we set our mind to it. So for example, I just have a few here. This is the 1936-1937 Great Lakes Expo. Our city's bicentennial in 1996. It was a massive event. And we even included something called Baywatch on the River for folks who were around back then. If you have a free moment, I recommend Googling this. It's pretty amazing to watch. And actually, Baywatch is back, so we can recreate this again. And who could forget just last year, the sight of J.R. Smith celebrating shirtless or the RNC taking over our city for an entire week. So yes, Cleveland knows how to throw a party. And now 2019. The mayor laid out the vision in his welcoming remarks. It's now up to us as a community to amaze the world with our continuing transformation to this green city on a blue lake. So, on June 22nd, 2019, we need to come together in a big way to celebrate our success, defend the laws that helped enable them, and scale up our progress. And we will do this with two primary ways. So as he mentioned, we're going to establish this 2019 steering committee of community leaders to help make that 50th anniversary weekend the largest sustainability event of that year in the entire country. And number two, we will support every organization and neighborhood in Cleveland so they have their own story to tell in 2019. So the 50th anniversary and the culmination of this 10-year initiative can be a watershed event in Cleveland's history, but really only if we are all in. So I'm looking forward to the next day and a half as we really help set the stage for the next 2 years and beyond.